Buying a house in Ireland, start to finish. I've made videos about this topic before, but I'm going to cover it quickly in this video as well. I get emails, for example, from, let's say, young persons who have gone sale agreed, and they're asking me, A, can I act for them, and B, what's the next step? So when they email me, the first thing that I'm looking for from them is photo ID and a copy of a household bill. This is part of the anti-money laundering regulations that we have to comply with. So I need those documents for the file. So photo ID and a copy of a household bill. Then I tell them you need to give my details, your solicitor's details, to the estate agent. And you need to pay the estate agent the booking deposit. And the booking deposit is fully refundable. You also need to let the lender know, your lender, assuming you're not a cash buyer, who is acting for you. That means that the lender can send out the loan pack to your solicitor when you are loan approved, and you let the estate agent know who's acting for you as well, and the estate agent will then let his client know who's acting for you, and the solicitor for the vendor, for the seller of the property, will send out the contracts and title documents and so on to this office. So that's the very, very first stage. Booking deposit, remember, is refundable. There's no difficulty paying a booking deposit to an estate agent, but make sure it's to an estate agent and not to anybody else. Next part of the process is the title documents and contracts are sent out to your solicitor, to me, obviously, if I'm acting for you, and I will then review the title documents and I will review the contracts. Your bank will also send out the loan pack to this office, to your solicitor, and we will also review the loan offer and, in particular, the special conditions in the loan offer, just to see that there's nothing sneaky or that's going to cause any difficulty. So we review the loan pack and we review the title documents and contracts, and then we raise the necessary pre-contract inquiries with the other solicitor. We have to ensure to get good title for you and for the bank that's advancing you the money, and we must raise necessary queries, assuming that the property is not perfect, and no property is perfect. We raise queries and we get satisfactory replies. At this stage then, you have two things going on. You should have two things going on. One is you should be getting a structural survey carried out, if it's second-hand property, to check that the property is structurally sound. And two, you need to make sure that if you had approval in principle from a lender, that you now have a firm offer. In other words, a loan pack is sent out by your lender to this office, to your solicitor. So that's that stage. We, remember, have raised queries, necessary queries. Once we receive satisfactory replies then from the vendor solicitor, assuming we receive satisfactory replies, we will then invite you into the office to sign the contracts and sign the loan documents. And we try to get you in just on the one occasion to kill two birds with one stone. That is, sign all the loan documents, the loan acceptance, mortgage documents, etc., and sign the contracts. When you sign the contracts, you pay 10% deposit. So if the property is 300,000 euros, 10% is 30,000, then you pay 30,000 less whatever booking deposit you may have paid to the estate agent. So you may have paid the estate agent 5 grand at the outset. Well, then you pay with the contract, the returning of the contract, 25 grand. That is 10% of 300 grand is 30 grand, less the 5 grand booking deposit. 25 grand is now due returning the contracts. You send that money to our client account, we give you the details, and then we return that or send that money to the vendor solicitor along with the contracts. That is your formal offer to purchase the property. So you've signed contracts in duplicate and you've paid the deposit. That's an offer. The other side then, the other solicitor will get his clients in, the vendors in, and they will countersign both contracts and send one copy back. At that stage then there's a binding contract in place. In other words, you've offered to buy the property, they have accepted the offer by signing and they've sent one back, and now both parties, vendor and purchaser, have one copy or counterpart of the contract. Then we move towards completion. From your perspective, that involves getting your house in order in terms of satisfying the bank in relation to the loan conditions. One of the loan conditions will be to arrange insurance on the property, and another condition will be to arrange mortgage protection on you and your partner or spouse. So only when those conditions are satisfied will the bank be satisfied and happy to release the loan funds. You may also need to get a valuation done for the bank, have a look at your loan offer and see exactly whether that's the case or not. You probably will, absolutely. So once the bank is satisfied that all the conditions of the loan offer have been complied with, then they are prepared to send out the loan, and they'll send the loan to us. So we will have the loan, but we'll also need some money from you, because we need land registry fees, we need professional legal fees, we need legal searches fees, we need money for stamp duty, and we need money for commissioner for oaths and perhaps miscellaneous. We do up a spreadsheet and we send it to you and we say we're ready to complete this transaction now, and we need the money as set out on this spreadsheet. And on that spreadsheet we'll set out the purchase price, the various costs, outlays and costs, legal fees, land registry, stamp duty, legal searches, miscellaneous. And we'll take into account then the money you've already paid, and we'll take into account the loan you're getting, and that'll leave a balance then for you to pay. Again, you send that money to us, and we then tell the other solicitor, the vendor solicitor, we are ready to complete this transaction. Please arrange to send out the closing documents to us. They will do that, and we will send the money to the vendor solicitor, and once they have the money and we have the loan documents, we're ready to complete. However, there is one final thing to be done. The final thing to be done will be perhaps for you to carry out a pre-closing inspection, just to check that all is in order before the sale completes. And if you're satisfied then with the pre-closing inspection, well then we will authorise release of the funds to the vendor solicitor. We will authorise them to use those funds, and they will authorise us to use the title documents, and they will authorise release of the keys. You pick up the keys then from the estate agent. That moves on then to the next stage. You move into your house. We then make an application to land registry to register you as the owner. We also make an application to register the bank's or the lender's charge on the property. And then after a while, the transaction is registered with the land registry, you're registered as owner, and we eventually then send in the title documents to the lender, and you live in the house, obviously enjoy it hopefully, and you pay your mortgage. That is essentially it from start to finish. I think I've covered everything. That's in relation to a second-hand house. It's slightly different in relation to a new house. In relation to a new house, you have most of the similar steps, but you don't need a structural survey, and you will, with the new house, be involved towards the end when the house is completed, and when we have received a formal notice of completion of building of the house, then you have an opportunity to go out and arrange with the site manager to snag the house. In other words, you walk through the house, you snag it, you see everything is in order. If it's not, then you'll go back again perhaps a fortnight later. The builder hopefully will have fixed the various imperfections that you find, and then we're ready to complete, and then it's similar to the second-hand house. So it's just slightly different from buying a second-hand. You don't need a structural survey because you will have the warranties, home bond, etc., structural warranty from the builder. You'll also be able to sue obviously for negligence and breach of contract, etc., etc. So you don't necessarily have to carry out a structural survey for a new house. Hope you find the video useful. If you do, I would appreciate if you hit the thumbs up button down below, and you may be interested in subscribing to my YouTube channel. Thank you very much.